Alright folks, welcome back. This is episode 29 of the ICT Mastery Mentorship. In this episode, we're going to be going over the IPDA True-Day Opening and or the Midnight Opening Price. Now in the name, it's literally just the opening price of the midnight candle, or just the opening price of the time at midnight. Very, very simple. But before we even get into this concept and how to actually use it, you must learn one thing: power of three. Now, if you haven't been cherry picking these episodes, which I know some of you have been doing so, you're like, oh, let me just learn this and learn that. I don't learn that. I don't like that. Oh, I learned this. Sounds cool. Oh, I see a lot of people talk about this. That's cool. Don't do that. That's not what this mentorship is for. Okay. That's just a warning, because you will see the consequences at the end, but, you know, at the end of your trading journey. But I just gave you a warning. Anyway, go watch episode 26. If you don't know power of three, go watch episode 26 of the ICT Mastery Mentorship right now and click off. Please, I beg you. Okay. For the ones that do know power of three, let's continue. So, as I said, midnight opening price. Let's do the most recent day, because I think this is a perfect example of, you know, a proper delivery of the midnight opening price. So, as said this multiple times, but midnight opening price, 12 a.m. candle, or just 12 a.m. in general. It says right there, that's midnight. New York time. Okay, remember that. New York time. Now, what you can do, also, because I know ICT always says, oh, use New York time, What you can do, right, is you can translate the times from New York to your time zone. So, for example, if you live in Asia, if you live in, I don't know, if you live in Africa, like whatever it is for you, like for example, right, 12 a.m., well, let's search this up, right? 12 a.m. in New York is what time in London? And then it'll give you the time, which is 05, whatever that is. It's New York timing, but since it's 5 hours ahead of New York, that would be 5 a.m. Okay, so you can translate the times if you don't want to just stick to New York timing. You can do that, okay? You don't have to listen to ICT on everything, okay? Because people can be wrong. But he wasn't necessarily wrong on that. He was just trying to make it easier for you. But just to make it more synchronized to your timing, you can translate the timings over, okay? Anyway, enough explaining. Let's, actually get to the concept. So 12 a.m., you want to mark the opening price, which is right here. The opening price of that candle, or of that time, is right here, which is the midnight opening price for New York, okay? It might be 5 a.m. for you in London, but for New York, this is the midnight opening price for New York, okay? Now, as I mentioned, you must know power of three. How does power of three, like how does this involve power of three? Well, watch this, okay? Immediately after the midnight opening price is formed, okay, or once it's there, once it exists in price, the one thing that price should do is accumulate. Or like, what? Huh? Yeah, it should accumulate. Now you're probably like, oh, wait, it's happening right in front of us. Yes, it is. Because look, as soon as the midnight opening price, forms, once it's there, look what price starts to do. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, back and forth. So what is that? Accumulation. Simple, right? So we can mark this right here as what? Accumulation. So for example, not even for example, literally, the day's narrative is what? It's bullish. So overnight or before the New York session, the New York kill zone, which is starting from 9:30. It doesn't start at 9:30, but that's like their liquidity injection to really get New York moving. But it starts at like 8:30. That's the real New York opening for indices. But for Forex, it's 7 o'clock. You don't need to know about that right now. Anyway, let's turn the kill zones back off. But since we have a clear hindsight view that price's narrative is bullish, we should expect what type of manipulation? Sell-side manipulation. We should expect a sell-side manipulation, a drop lower overnight. That's considered what? Manipulation. Does that happen? Yeah, right here. See that? It happens right there. After what? The accumulation. Now, like I just said, the accumulation should occur after what? The midnight opening price. As soon as it forms, price should start accumulating. Now, it doesn't have to accumulate for hours on end, like literally 6 hours all the way into London. It doesn't have to. But the minimum, I would say, that it has to accumulate for, or for you to like really see it, and mind you, I have like a little cold, so my voice might sound weird. I'm not going to cut it out though. It should accumulate for at least 2 hours. I think 2 hours, maybe 3 is just enough, in which if you look here, we started accumulating at 2, stopped accumulating at like 5:45. So that's a good amount of time for price to accumulate. It accumulated enough to where price can manipulate sell side, and then we can come back up and distribute against buy side. Very, very simple, right? So let's look into the actual specifics of this run here. we have this intermediate term swing here. I guess I'll drag it down like this because, you know, the midnight opening price is in the way. Can I find it wherever it's at? Yeah, intermediate term swing. So we have an intermediate term swing right there. Short-term high there, short-term high there. Swing in the middle, intermediate term swing. So what should price do if it wants to reach this swing? It should manipulate lower. Now, pay attention to this, right? The fact that we manipulated or distributed away from this intermediate term swing instead of this one down here, that like if this wasn't here, I wish I could like blur this out, which I might do while I'm editing, but probably not because I'm too lazy to do so. But if none of this delivery existed, like if none of this existed right here, you would probably be like, okay, why did it distribute away from this high or this intermediate term swing, but not this one? Because price is eventually going to hit, is gonna eventually take that out, in which it does here during New York, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it just rallies through that intermediate term high right there. So the fact that we violate this intermediate term swing or don't even allow it to become an intermediate term swing because it must move away from it first for it to become an intermediate term swing, and it has to do that. But it doesn't even allow it to do so. So we are distributing away while violating this low. Okay. So what's this? What are we anticipating, or what is being clarified here? That price is manipulating lower. Okay. So in the future we can then come up to this high. Accumulate, 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 accumulate. Manipulate, 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 manipulate. We now have this swing is eligible. We can go to that now. Price can now go to that without any sort of resistance. Okay. Oh my God, support resistance. Oh my God. Dude, I swear, some traders hear that word and it like literally scares them, like it's PTSD. It does the same thing to me. Oh my God, support. Anyway, 9:30 is right here. Once 9:30 hits, guess what happens? We jump. We jump. Miniature retracement. Then we jump. Then we jump again. Now, we kept jumping, but to what? This intermediate term swing right there. I'm not going to, fully draw it out because we have the midnight opening price right here. But you can clearly see that that high got taken out after we manipulated. Okay. Now, you can implement time into this, which is why I'm going to turn on the kill zones. But it's not really necessary. If you can just see accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, you'll be fine. And you use your other concepts to confirm, like for example, if you think price is going to be bullish for the day, right? But you see price manipulate higher overnight, that should immediately register to your head that you might be wrong, okay? Or if you, like example, if you expect price to deliver higher and you want it to manipulate overnight, so you can just have that immediate delivery higher, no retracements or barely any retracements, because if you see retracements but your narrative is for price to go higher, that should set off an alarm in your head. But anyway, you get the point here. If you expect price to go higher, you should see some form of manipulation lower overnight. Pretty simple, right? But now, for example, let's go to the 3 minute. Okay, let's just drop down to the 3 minute. This is the midnight opening price. One detail about the midnight opening price is it can be used as support resistance. Oh my gosh, support resistance! Yes, it can be used as like a fair value gap, like a order block, like a mitigation block, like all those type of blocks that I'm going to teach in the future. It can be used as that, but it should not be used as an entry. Okay, never use the midnight opening price as an entry because, as you can see here, price did hit it and reacted off of it. That does not mean, oh my God, it dropped almost 500 points. Oh my God, we can sell that. No, that is not what that means. I think it dropped 400 points. Yeah, about that. Yeah, 409 points off of just respecting the midnight opening price. I know it sounds very enticing, but don't do it. Use it as confluence. Like, okay, oh, price is going higher, and we can possibly see it come back down to the midnight opening price, respect it, and keep going higher. In that sort of context. Don't just be like, oh, we can add. Now, that's what you can do. If you're already in a position and price respects the midnight opening price, you can add to your position. Very small, though. Recommend very small. Don't add 3 contracts, 5 contracts, 6, 7 contracts. Don't do that. Okay. And yes, I just said the number, but don't even talk about it. Anyway, since you are looking for buys on this day, you would want to be buying below the opening price. Why? Why is that, JG? Why would you want to buy below the opening price? Well, you know how ICT said you want to buy in a discount and sell in a premium? Think of it like that, okay? It's not too hard. Think of it like that. So below opening price is what? Discount. Above opening price is what? Premium. Very simple, right? Just from this right here, this point in price right here, or that pricing, which is 25,036, that is, I guess you could say, your equilibrium. Anything below it, discount. Anything above it, premium. Since we want to see price go higher, we want to buy in a what? In a discount. And what is discount? Below opening price. Why? Because that is where the high probability longs are going to kick in. That's where you're going to see all the parabolic moves. You're not going to see barely any retracements. It's going to be a very low resistance liquidity run. But as soon as you start buying above that midnight opening price, it's over with. Matter of fact, the example is right here. Look, if you bought down here, you barely had any retracements. Like, for example, you bought, I don't know, right around here at this, like, immediate rebalance. Just at that line. You bought there. And we can set, like, your little long position or something like that. Had your stop, I don't know, about, right about there. Had your target somewhere up here somewhere. I'm just going to put this, like, right here so you can see it. There you go. But notice that as soon as we start getting above the midnight opening price, we start slowing down. Yeah, we start rallying through it here. But just pay attention to how price acts afterwards. Yeah, it has little 2 runs before it. Run here, retracement, and another run there. But after we get above the minute opening price, does it even look like there's high probability longs here? No. No, not at all. So you see my point, right? Yeah, you should see it. Anyway, this is just one example. And now you should at least understand how to use the midnight opening price. We're going to do one more example, but we're just going to go a little bit more in detail because I didn't go over, like, all the confluences that were, behind this entire move, how price react to certain arrays. I didn't go over that. I just went over how to actually use the minute opening price overall, like all the possible uses for the minute opening price. Anyway, let's jump to another day. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch a tiger by his toe. Whatever y'all be saying in kindergarten or first grade. Let's pick. It can really be any day, to be honest. Yeah, let's do this day here. This looks pretty cool. Jump to the 15-minute and go back to that day, which I think is right here. Yep. Here we are. So, as you know, midnight opening price, or just mark the midnight candle, whatever it is for your time, or if you're just referring to New York, doesn't matter. Opening price is that right there. We drag that out. Boom. That pricing is 26,084 in tick. So we mark that as not long-term swing now. Midnight opening. There we go. So, in hindsight, of course, we can clearly see that price dropped during New York. You want to see? We can see that at 9:30, we dropped. So, just in hindsight, what should we see overnight? Okay, I'm doing, you know how the little emote that Trump does where he moves his hands back and forth and, like, his palms are facing outward? That's what I just did. It's so funny. I'm going to show you guys at the end of the video what I'm talking about. But you know when he moves his hands back and forth whenever he's explaining something? Bro, I need to stop. I'm too immature, man. It's a funny emote, though. Anyway, midnight opening price is formed. Right there. It is 26.84 and a tick. Immediately before it and after it, we accumulate. You're probably like, we don't accumulate. We drop lower. Look how we drop lower, though. Are you paying attention to how we drop lower? First of all, we're accumulating before. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then we start dropping, but moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as we're dropping. So we have accumulated successfully, right? And like I said, it should accumulate for at least what? 2 to 3 hours. So from 12 to 2 or 2:45, that's about 4 hours almost. So is it more than 2? Yes, sir. So we've officially got our what? Our accumulation. Very, very simple. So we can mark this as our accumulation right here after the opening price. Then we start to see London kick in. Once you're on the kill zones, here's London. London starts to rally. London lunch is right here. Like I don't have it marked, but London lunch is right here, in which it should start accumulating more during London lunch. Then pre-market kicks in, starts accumulating a little bit more. Then we have another rally again, which I think is coming close to that high, but it's a failure swing. So we do have confluence of a failure swing of this high here. So we failed to break that. And then guess what? 9:30 kicks in, immediately dumps. So what have we had here? We've had the accumulation, we've had the manipulation, and then we've had what? The distribution. Simple, right? It's nothing too hard. Accumulation should occur right after the midnight opening price is formed. After the accumulation is done, we should manipulate higher, since the narrative for the day, or for New York, and when I say day, I've said this before, but whenever I say the day, I mean New York session. So for the day is bearish, and we need to see price manipulate higher. Has price done that? Yep, it has. It has manipulated higher, accumulated, and manipulated higher. Once again, very, very simple, right? And then when 930 kicked in, we did take out this little short-term swing and start dropping. So, since we want to short, where should we be shorting? Above the opening price, above the minute opening price. So let's jump down to a 3-minute and go back to that example, which is right here. Here we are. Let's look into 930. We're going to go a bit into detail, but we're not going to make this longer than 20 minutes, hopefully. So here is 930. Right here, I think this is the candle. No, it's 927. This is 930. At 930, we take out this short-term high here. If I can mark this as a liquidity purge, there we go. We have a liquidity purge here. Then we start rallying lower, away from that swing high. So what's that? That's a willingness to not go through it. Okay, it's a willingness to displace lower. After we do that, we create an order block right here. These two candles. 1, 2. Let's do candles here. The break below those candles activates order block. Once the order block is activated right here, price opens another candle on a 3-minute, retraces into the order block. You could short there. That could be a short. Okay? Understand? That can be a short. There is, have I taught breaker yet? Hold on, before I even, mention that, have I taught breaker? I don't think so. No, I have not. Wait, where in the, oh yeah, it's okay, it's right here. My bad. I just had to take a little pause and see where the word breaker was. Anyway, it retraces into the order block. You can short there. Once you start seeing respect and movement away from it, you can short. That's one entry there. And I forgot to mark this as the order block. My fault, guys. And if you were to short here, like for example at that level or around here, is that above the midnight opening price? Yeah, it is. And then notice, as soon as we get to that midnight opening price, or as soon as we get below it, what does price do? It stops. Wow, pretty nice, isn't it? So you get my point, right, of why I'm saying you should short above the opening price if price wants to go lower, and you should long below the opening price if price wants to go higher. It's nothing too hard. So you shorted there, drop, 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 drop. Now you can target the midnight opening price too. You can do that. You can do that. But be careful when it comes to picking your targets under the midnight opening price, because like I said before, price can stop at the opening price, or price can start to slow down under the minute opening price. So if you wanted to take this low here, yeah, this would have been fine, because there's actually a bunch of liquidity resting here because all the bodies that are sticking here together. You're going to learn about that soon. It's called a liquidity pool. You'll learn about that soon. But if you wanted to take this target for your sell side liquidity, yeah, smashed it perfectly, came back to the midnight opening price and just stopped. Like basically stopped going lower. But the next day kicked in, started, going lower past that. But of course it's going to do that because it's the next day. Duh. Anyway, this recording is long enough. I do not want to make this longer than 20 minutes so I won't blow your head off from talking too much. I hope this teaching was insightful, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Good luck and good trading.